that. So if you want to hear any lore whatsoever, make sure you're in the Discord, because once a week I will ask a question, hopefully. And first person to get the question right or gives me something that I like gets to pick the lore for the week. This week, since I am bad with time management, I picked the lore, and this week's lore is on Lost Hills from Fallout 1. Now, Lost Hills is the bunker, the base of the Brotherhood of Steel around the events of Fallout 1 and prior to late 2077 up until 2161, and then some time after. So it's a code name of a security base. And it is claimed by Captain Roger Maxon, the first Maxon, in 2077, and is the Brotherhood of Steel's headquarters, their base of operation. Now, in November of 2077, the Mariposa Rebellion happens. I don't have in my notes exactly what happens with the rebellion. It is a topic I'd like to cover one day, but the skinny of it is that Maxon saw what was going on with FEV days before the bombs dropped and said, I want nothing to do with the US military anymore, and was pretty much like, I'm done. Also, I'd like to point out real quick, as I started talking about this, like, you'll hear it in my voice if you go back a few seconds. I have the Fallout 1 soundtrack on in the background. And Vats of Goo started instantly as I started talking about Vats of Goo, which is kind of cool. So he sees this and he wants nothing to do with it. And he's like, what the US government is doing is evil. And I don't remember the exact day, but it's right before the bombs fall. The bombs fall. Maxon kind of takes over Mariposa and is like, the only people allowed in are the soldiers' families. The only people allowed out is nobody. It's pretty much locked down. And from October 23rd of 2077 to sometime in November, they leave. There's the rebellion and they leave. And then there's the exodus from Mariposa. Now, the Brotherhood, what is now becoming the Brotherhood, which is Maxon's crew, his tribe, if you will, are going towards Lost Hills. Mind you, this is days after the nuclear holocaust. And here come these giant, stomping 8-foot behemoths, metallic monks, walking through the desert, walking through the visage, the refuse, the debris, all of it, just to get to Lost Hills, to find some form of like, they're refugees, almost. They're trying to find a home. Like I said, this is a government security bunker, and because of it being days after the bombs drop, raiders are in abundance. People that were just businessmen are raiders, because now, like, we have reverted back to monkey, and it is, you have to kill so you can eat. And they get attacked, and Brotherhood members die, but for every one Brotherhood of Steel member that goes down, 2 raiders go down. So, you know, their KD's pretty decent. During these attacks, Maxon's wife is killed, but not his teenage sons. Now, there is a sergeant named Sergeant Allen who doesn't agree with what Maxon is doing wholeheartedly and says maybe we should break off. This is almost like the first batch of outcasts before they were called outcasts. They're not given a name on the wiki. I get all my lore off of fallout.fandom.com, all my reference material. And Sergeant Allen says, we want to break off. We want to go do our own thing. And Maxon's like, don't do that. That's not wise. That's kind of a dumb idea. And Allen goes, yeah, no, we're good. We're going to go. So they want to go check out the West Tech research facility that's in California. And again, Maxon's like, this is not smart. He says, do not do this. They don't listen and they go off in pursuit of what is now referred to as the Glow. These men are never heard from again. Now, in 2151, remains of Allen's group is found in the Glow. And if I'm not mistaken, when you do the quest where you have to retrieve the item for the Brotherhood in Fallout 1 so you can get access into their bunker, into Lost Hills, the Brotherhood of Steel, the soldier that you see with power armor on that is dead is one of Allen's guys, if not Allen himself. So because of all this happening, because of what the Brotherhood stands for, they want to reclaim tech, they want to reteach the Wasteland. Lost Hills becomes kind of this bastion, this oasis, if you will, of technology throughout the wastes. They are the number one supplier of weapons and ammo and any sort of manufacturing of weapons before the gun runners pop up. So they had the shit on lock. They were so focused on tech and weapons that they decided they were going to trade with the outside public for food and water and other miscellaneous materials and shit that they needed to survive. They thought they didn't need to make it inside of the bunker. Now, by 2162, following the destruction of the Unity, the Brotherhood of Steel actually aided in a lot of settlements getting rid of mutants. And the way they did it, according to the wiki, was not amicable, but they did it in a way where there was not as many casualties on both sides. So there wasn't as many casualties for mutants, there wasn't as many casualties for settlers, there wasn't as many casualties for the Brotherhood. And it was done in a commendable way because of head paladin Rhombus, who I'm going to talk a little bit about towards the end of these notes here. Now, they wanted, from a very early time, they wanted nothing to do with any sort of power dynamics. They saw what the NCR was doing and really didn't want anything to do with it, and they obviously didn't want anything to do with the Enclave. But they really wanted nothing to do with power. They wanted to reclaim tech and kind of make sure that what happened in the old world, in the before time, never happens again. So for years, they stood out of power dynamics. They wanted to slowly reintroduce tech into the wasteland. So the She has working telephones, and I believe they might have working computers with like internet. And when I say internet, it's more like LAN connection, because I know in New Vegas, Michelangelo and Sarah from Vault 21 talk via like a rudimentary email. That's essentially like a LAN thing. Their focus on tech makes them one of the biggest research houses in all of that new California Republic land. And speaking of NCR, the Brotherhood of Steel had very good relations with NCR to begin with. And they also had head paladin Rhombus that I was talking about before, and Rhombus made them, I believe the exact words on the wiki were a zealot of power. They were not to be messed with. No one was coming near them. He was a very aggressive man. He knew he was good with strategy. He knew what he was doing. People did not mess with the Brotherhood of Steel. Now, which I think is super interesting, the NCR and the Brotherhood had very good standing together. They never technically become part of NCR, but they had a good relationship to the point where one of the settlements, one of the states of NCR is named after Captain Maxon. It's named after Maxon. It's just called Maxon. And like I said, they were never really part of it, but Brotherhood of Steel was known to have done some patrols for NCR, but other than that, they really kind of stood out of it. So because this is an older game, and I like the way the older games are kind of built on how time works in the game and how like levels of things are. I just want to kind of go over what Lost Hills kind of looks like from like floor to floor. Level 1, again, all my lore, fallout.fandom.com. The first underground level contains the main supply room filled to the brim with pre-war tech. The stockpile, while full of technology, is rather limited. Every brother can withdraw only a single set of armor, while high-tier weapons are only given to those with special clearances from Senior Paladin Tullus. Opposite of the storage room is a training chamber. And then we go to floor 2. 2 houses the living quarters for the inhabitants, their classroom, and the facility medical lab. The youngest members of the organization spend their time here studying to become either a knight or a scribe. Under the watchful eyes of higher-ranking members, their quarters are quite cramped. Up to 12 initiates share a room, or even more if hot bunking is used, but is fitted with all the necessary amenities. Level 3 houses some of the Brotherhood's most important facilities, the workshop, where technology is maintained and recreated by knights, and the libraries, where the scribes patiently study old blueprints and knowledge, preserving it for future generations. Their living quarters are also located on this level. Level 4 housing the command center mainframe and the elders' quarters. If level 3 is considered to be the heart, then level 4 is considered to be the brain of the Brotherhood of Steel. Unlike other members, the leader of the Brotherhood have each their own private quarters. Their conference room is located at the back of the auditorium, used often despite their apparent inability to agree on anything, except that there are 4 of them. The mainframe processing and storage containing the collective knowledge of the Brotherhood is located out of the way behind the quarters. Access through an airlock, it isn't guarded by anyone, unlike the Elders' quarters in a meeting room. Because this is the headquarters, because they're such a closed-off group of individuals, the denizens of Lost Hills are exclusively Brotherhood of Steel members. You get in, the Vault Dweller gets in because you have to do a quest for them, but they don't let anybody in. Outsiders are not welcome. And even when you're there, they're kind of like, all right, Wastelander, keep your distance. Just some behind the scenes stuff. Lost Hills is a real-life location of the same name. Originally, Lost Hills was not a bunker. It was a small concrete building founded by soldiers from Mariposa that employed it as a base and steadily changed it into a fortress. The Brotherhood also had an invasion ending planned where the super mutants march against the Brotherhood and laid siege to Lost Hills 170 days after the game starts. While defending their fortress valiantly, a traitor, Kendrick, would assassinate the Elders and sell the Brotherhood to the super mutants. Lost Hills would subsequently be destroyed. An unused Dead Brotherhood map is still included in game files. That's super neat. Other cut elements, a few non-player characters, including a scribe mourning the Brotherhood's reluctance to explore soft sciences such as sociology and psychology, a romance subplot including Jennifer, the Paladin, another Michael-related subquest about pulse grenades and girls from lower levels, and a day and night cycle in the bunker. So that's all I really have to say about Lost Hills. That's the lore. On one of the cooler, if not the next to the cathedral is one of the coolest. One of the coolest locations, gives birth to what is now ostensibly, be it for better or for worse, the face of the Fallout series, the Brotherhood of Steel. That was Lost Hills. And that, my friends, you guessed it, is lore.